Welcome to Plant-Based Menu Lesson Focus on the Flexitarians. And these are the people who are cutting back on meat, dairy, and eggs for environmental, health, or animal welfare reasons. In this lesson, I want to help you understand that you'll have more financial success developing a plant-based menu that appeals to flexitarians rather than focusing on those who eat exclusively plant-based. Before we dive into that, a bit about myself. My name is Michael Broadhead, and I grew up on a farm in Canada. I was an avid meat eater my whole life and then discovered the amazing world of plant-based food in India. I lived in Taiwan, which is the heart of plant-based food in Asia. While there, I developed a course on sustainability that included connections to diet. I then moved to Beijing, where I was a guest on the first plant-based cooking show and helped with the first plant-based farmers market. Singapore is where I have spent most of my time in Asia working on sustainability and being on the board of a charity that was working on sustainability and diet. I worked on many projects there, but I'll highlight three that are relevant to this course. The first is a national festival I created and directed 4 editions of, EarthFest. It featured all plant-based food, and the last one I directed had over 8,000 visitors in an afternoon. I wrote the guide, The Future is Plant-Based, to help restaurants in Singapore tap into the plant-based market. And I worked with a resort in Indonesia to develop a sustainability-themed excursion that featured local plant-based foods. In addition to the experiences above, I've been following the news, research, and developments in the alternative protein space. My goal in this course is to save you time and money by helping you avoid the common mistakes F&B businesses make when they start their journey into plant-based foods. So the first statement I want to make clear is plant-based or veg markets are growing fast, but they are still small. Now, this is a generalization, as there are some countries like India where the veg market is actually already quite large due to their historical and religious background. But by and large, this is probably true for most of you listening. There is also a diversity of businesses, from independent restaurants to large chains, canteens, etc. listening. My advice tries to distill out what will be most helpful to all of you, but if you find yourself in a situation where you think the general advice may not be fully relevant, feel free to contact me for advice. So yes, plant-based diets are getting massive media coverage. The Economist and many other magazines over the years have declared Year of the Vegan. In this article, they point out that 1 in 4 millennials are vegan or vegetarian in the USA. So while that's massive growth, it of course means 3 in 4 are not. And if we go to older generations with maybe the highest buying power, fewer of them are plant-based. And if you were to look at finding an overall percentage of people who eat exclusively plant-based in the US, you're looking at numbers that are closer to 5% or so, which is not a large enough group to make your menu financially successful. If we look at it another way, incredible growth again in the plant-based markets, but if you compare 12.1 billion to the market size of meat from animals, it's still small in comparison. It's good to note this growth is happening in multiple parts of the world as well. So who is really driving this growth? Well, it's the flexitarians. Almost 90% of the plant-based burgers are eaten by meat eaters. So our best bet is to focus on the much larger portion of the population that is cutting back on meat, dairy, and eggs. Those are the flexitarians. The great thing is, whatever you develop for flexitarians will appeal to the large majority of people who are vegan, vegetarian, or plant-based. So, what do they want? Well, firstly, stick to dishes that are in line with your restaurant's brand that your existing clientele will love. Let's say there's a burger joint, and they make the common mistake of adding a random salad to the menu so that they can tick a box saying that they have a plant-based option. Well, they tick that box, but as a plant-based eater, I wouldn't want to order that. I'd want a burger at a burger joint, and flexitarians do too, and sometimes they want a plant-based burger. So let's look at something better. Here's an international burger chain that decided to add plant-based burgers to their menu in Canada. It was a huge success. They had tons of great media coverage and sales exceeded their projection. They created something in line with their brand and also capitalized on the hype behind Beyond Meat. A few months later, another Canadian chain decided to add the same burgers to their menu. and they failed. The reason? The chain was a breakfast place where you would get coffee and donuts. When they suddenly added burgers, people were criticizing them for not staying true to the brand. And of course, if they wanted a burger, they would go to a burger chain, not a breakfast chain. So that's why you stick to the dishes that are in line with your restaurant's brand that your existing clientele will love. Next, you want to design your plant-based dishes such that a meat eater would want to order it. And if you use meat substitutes, do so carefully. Later lessons in the course will expand on designing successful dishes, but just to give an example, if we go back to the plant-based starter kit I wrote, I would say a burger like this would appeal to meat eaters and plant-based eaters alike. That's the heart of successful plant-based menus, creating dishes that everyone will find delicious and appealing regardless of their philosophy on food. So our key point is there are a lot more flexitarians than exclusively plant-based consumers, so focus your effort on delicious dishes that will appeal to your meat-eating clientele.